Most people hear the name Zsa Zsa Gabor and immediately imagine diamond necklaces, fur wraps, a coquettish tilt of the head, and a playful Hungarian accent that calls everyone darling. They think of 9 headline-making marriages, talk show banter that turned nighttime TV into her own personal stage, and outlandish quotes about love and luxury that still make for entertaining gossip decades later. Beneath the showy surface, though, was a far more complicated woman. She uniquely bridged old-world Europe and modern American celebrity culture. She was a daughter of Hungary, born into a world soon to be torn apart by war, an immigrant who found a second life under Hollywood's spotlight, and a woman whose personal turmoil often matched the flamboyance of her public image. Let's take a warm, thorough journey through the life of Zsa Zsa Gabor, unpacking her childhood in Budapest, her rise in the American entertainment scene, the controversies that trailed her, and the curious legacy she left behind. Along the way, we'll see that there was more to Zsa Zsa than just rhinestones and witty one-liners. She was born Zsa Gabor on February 6, 1917 in Budapest, at that time still part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Her father, Vilmos Gabor, was a veteran of the Austro-Hungarian army, who later went into business. Her mother, Jolie Gabor, was a noted jeweler of Jewish heritage. In the Gabor household, tradition existed alongside progressive ideas, and there was always an undercurrent of seeking bigger, more exciting horizons. Even in her earliest years, young Sari soaked up her mother's flair for drama and her father's stoicism. While Europe as a whole was still reeling from the devastation of World War I, the Gabor parents tried to cultivate in their children a sense of optimism and readiness for modern life. They believed wholeheartedly in language skills, refined manners, and the art of making a memorable entrance, qualities that would become essential for Sari's future transformation into Zsa Zsa. She was the middle daughter. Magda was the eldest, a presence who often played the role of the sensible sister, at least according to family lore. Ava was the youngest, a bright spark who later went on to star in the American sitcom Green Acres. The 3 sisters were close in some respects, competitive in others, and always dramatic in their affections. Stories from their youth suggest that Zsa Zsa relished any excuse to perform. She would put on many theatrical skits for house guests or play hostess at gatherings, charming everyone with her wide smile and lilting voice. From her mother, she inherited a strong sense of how to work a room, how to chat up strangers, how to share just the right compliment or anecdote to make them laugh. She was also taught from a young age to view life as a stage on which a woman must look her best and never let her audience see her sweat. In the 1930s, Eastern Europe was a turbulent place with political unrest and rumblings of the anti-Semitic ideologies that would soon become deadly realities. The Gabors were Jewish, although not strictly observant. They were more attuned to the cosmopolitan social aspects of Hungarian high society, but whispers of persecution still sparked fear. Zsa Zsa, Magda, and Eva watched as family friends lost their businesses or fled to safer territories. Amid this sense of impending danger, Jolie insisted her daughters become as worldly as possible. She sent them to boarding schools in Switzerland or finishing schools in Vienna, determined that they learn multiple languages and mingle with the children of Europe's aristocracy. It was in one such setting that Zsa Zsa discovered her love for the stage, making a minor theatrical debut in Vienna around 1934. While only a cameo role, it fed her conviction that she was meant for bigger things than the relative comfort and safety of Budapest. By 1936, Zsa Zsa had entered the Miss Hungary beauty pageant, an experience that would shape her relationship with publicity forever. She was declared the winner, but was soon stripped of her title when organizers discovered she had lied about her age to qualify. This small scandal might have humiliated a more timid individual. Zsa Zsa, however, treated it like a clever piece of marketing. She realized that controversy, if skillfully handled, could be a shortcut to fame. As she later joked in interviews, losing the crown was the best thing. It made me news. It was an early hint that she had a knack for embracing any sort of attention, good or bad, to further her image. But personal ambitions were overshadowed by Europe's collapse into chaos. Nazi Germany's expansion threatened Hungary directly, and life for Jewish families became precarious. By 1941, Zsa Zsa decided to leave Hungary for the United States, something of a leap into the unknown. She arrived speaking multiple languages, Hungarian, German, and French among them, and an accent that American ears found charmingly foreign. The U.S. offered safety from the war and an opportunity for self-reinvention. Like many European émigrés, she gravitated toward Los Angeles, whose vibrant film industry and sunny climate attracted all sorts of refugees from war-torn Europe. It didn't matter that she wasn't an A-list actress. Hollywood was a place where glamour trumped pedigree, and Zsa Zsa was determined to brand herself as the embodiment of exotic luxury. Her early years in the U.S. involved countless parties, introductions, and strategic friendships. She seemed to have a gift for schmoozing producers, directors, reporters, whoever might open a door for her. She caught a small break in 1952, appearing in a minor role in the MGM musical Lovely to Look At. That same year, John Huston cast her in Moulin Rouge, where she played Jane Avril opposite José Ferrer's portrayal of Toulouse-Lautrec. Though her screen time was limited, critics noted her sparkling confidence. In an era when Hollywood was brimming with studio-sculpted beauties, Zsa Zsa stood out for her accent, her comedic flirtiness, and the sense that she was in on the joke of her own persona. Still, her filmography never soared to greatness. She appeared in a handful of features over the following decades, but she never became the sort of performer that studios built entire pictures around. Instead, she adapted. She discovered that late-night talk shows and cameo television appearances suited her better than chasing the rigors of leading movie roles. On TV, she could be herself, ad-libbing, teasing the host, offering funny anecdotes about her life, and always playing up the glamorous socialite persona. This approach worked wonders. Before long, viewers knew Zsa Zsa not from starring in major films, but from being the exuberant guest who showed up with a tiny dog in her purse or a new diamond ring on her finger, offering comedic commentary on the latest Hollywood rumors. She made short appearances on popular TV series, Gilligan's Island, Batman, Bonanza, The Love Boat, and more. Her cameo roles were often comedic, with her effectively playing a version of Zsa Zsa rather than disappearing into a fictional character. Beyond these small-screen moments, however, the public was entranced by her personal life, particularly her multiple marriages. She tied the knot an extraordinary 9 times, famously quipping, "I love being married. It's so great to find that one special person you want to annoy for the rest of your life." Yet, for all her joking, her track record pointed to a restless heart that never fully settled. Perhaps her most famous union was with Conrad Hilton, the founder of the Hilton Hotel Empire. Married from 1942 to 1947, she gave birth to her only child, Francesca Hilton. This marriage connected her to immense wealth and placed her in a swirl of high society circles across the globe, what we might today call the jet-set crowd. Yet, it ended in divorce, with Zsa Zsa claiming that Hilton prioritized business over passion. She walked away from that relationship with a deeper sense of how money and status could shape a public image. In interviews, she never seemed to regret the marriage itself. Rather, she lamented the disappointment of not finding lasting companionship. Still, she made it clear that a lavish settlement helped soothe the heartbreak. Later marriages came and went, generating headlines each time. She wed the British actor George Sanders, whose refined yet sardonic on-screen persona was matched by real-life wit. They sparred verbally, sometimes publicly, and divorced in 1954. In a twist that could only happen in Gaborland, Sanders later married her older sister Magda for a brief period, fueling endless tabloid chatter. Zsa Zsa pretended to take it in stride, stating that family remained family, but one can imagine a swirl of complicated emotions beneath that breezy facade. Her other spouses included industrialists, society figures, and, toward the end, a flamboyant individual claiming European royal ties. Critics accused her of collecting marriages as though they were trophies. Supporters said she was a hopeless romantic who adored falling in love and never wanted to settle for less than ecstasy. The truth was probably somewhere in between, complicated by her love of living well and her willingness to keep trying again and again, no matter how many times it ended in a messy divorce. But overshadowing all these lavish love stories was a darker rumor that her sixth marriage, to inventor Jack Ryan, 1975 to 1976, included a disturbing incident of domestic violence on her part. Few official records of the alleged altercation remain public, but people close to both parties whispered about vicious arguments and at least one physical outburst. Allegedly, Ryan called the authorities and Zsa was briefly taken into custody. The story never blew up in the media as some of her other scandals did, perhaps overshadowed by subsequent controversies, or perhaps because Zsa Zsa skillfully deflected attention. She was an expert at controlling the narrative, distracting the public with comedic sound bites about her latest diamond ring or her next wedding plan. Still, the rumor lingered in Hollywood circles, coloring how some viewed her behind the scenes. It suggested a capacity for anger that her public persona of playful flirtation never revealed. A more widely reported scandal came in 1989, when a routine Beverly Hills traffic stop escalated into Zsa Zsa slapping a police officer. The subsequent trial turned into a media spectacle, with Zsa Zsa defiantly marching in and out of court in fashionable outfits, giving witty remarks to journalists, and openly calling the officer rude. She was found guilty of assault and spent 3 days behind bars, an event she treated almost like a comedic storyline, joking with reporters about her brief time in jail. Though many in the public found her antics entertaining, critics argued that her behavior showed a lack of respect for the law and an inflated sense of entitlement. She never seemed too shaken by the conviction. To her, it was yet another chapter in the ongoing soap opera of Zsa Zsa versus the world. As the decades passed, she maintained her presence on talk shows, cameo roles, and red carpet events. But by the 1990s, America's celebrity culture was changing. Younger starlets captured tabloid interest, and the older icons of glam found themselves somewhat relegated to nostalgia. Zsa Zsa, always resourceful, used humor and the memory of her earlier escapades to stay relevant. She reminded the world that she had been among the first to perfect the art of being famous for being famous. She openly admitted that her talents lay not in deep method acting, but in captivating an audience with her witty barbs, mesmerizing outfits, and a kind of old-school star power that was becoming rarer. Alongside her sisters, Ava, who had her sitcom success, and Magda, who dabbled in show business, Zsa Zsa inhabited a unique niche as a glamorous Hungarian import who seemingly invented the idea that spectacle plus drama equals stardom. The Gabor sisters were often caricatured as shallow socialites, but older friends and confidants insisted they were sharper and more down-to-earth than they let on in public. Perhaps it was just that they understood the show business formula. The camera loves a spectacle, and they were more than happy to deliver it. The 2000s brought significant health issues for Zsa Zsa. A serious car accident in 2002 left her partially paralyzed and needing extensive medical care. Later, she suffered a stroke. She withdrew from most public appearances, and when she did appear, she was often in a wheelchair, supported by the last of her 9 husbands, Frederick Prince von Anhalt. That marriage, which began in 1986, outlasted all her others by a considerable margin. Some questioned its authenticity, given Prince von Anhalt's questionable aristocratic claims and his flair for publicity stunts. But they remained legally wed for nearly 30 years, suggesting that perhaps at long last Zsa Zsa had found someone who shared her love for extravagance and public performance, or at least tolerated it. Her final years were bittersweet. By this point, her famous accent had become frailer, her comedic timing dulled by frequent hospital visits and extended recoveries. She lost both sisters, Eva passing in 1995 and Magda in 1997, a double blow that left her feeling more alone, according to close friends. She also faced unexpected financial problems when she and Prince von Anhalt were reportedly ensnared in Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme, losing a chunk of savings. Despite everything, she tried to uphold her glitzy persona whenever cameras were around, even if just for a few brief words or a wave from a doorway. Zsa Zsa Gabor died on December 18, 2016, at the age of 99. She succumbed to heart failure quietly in Los Angeles, a city she had helped define for decades as a playground for the wealthy and flamboyant. Tributes poured in from fans who remembered her cameo appearances on favorite sitcoms, her witty remarks on late-night television, and her glamorous presence. For a woman who had once said, "I never really mind what people write or say about me as long as they spell my name correctly," it seemed fitting that her name once again graced so many headlines. True to her theatrical style, she left behind final instructions to have her ashes returned to Budapest. In 2021, this wish was fulfilled, completing a circle that began when a young Jewish girl named Zsa Zsa Gabor fled the threat of Nazi occupation for a new life in America. What does it mean to assess her legacy? On one level, she was a pioneer of the famous for being famous phenomenon. Years before reality TV made it commonplace, she lacked a signature film role that might have solidified her in the cinematic pantheon, but she used her personality, humor, and endless capacity for reinvention to maintain public interest for over half a century. Her real artistry lay in her ability to generate headlines, whether by announcing a new marriage, slapping a policeman, or offering a pithy aphorism about love and money. In a sense, she anticipated modern culture's obsession with celebrity branding, launching an entire blueprint for how personal drama can overshadow professional accomplishments. But beyond the sparkle, she was also a woman who traversed the horrors of Europe's mid-century upheavals, arrived in America with dreams and survival instincts, and navigated a notoriously difficult industry. She faced repeated heartbreak, 9 marriages, numerous breakups, and found the resilience to keep forging ahead. Her comedic approach to relationships sometimes masked a real vulnerability. We can only imagine what heartbreak felt like for her behind closed doors, to vow love so many times and see each vow come undone. Former husband George Sanders once told a reporter that Zsa Zsa's biggest fear was being alone in a room without an audience to dazzle. If that's true, it suggests a deeper psychological impetus behind her ceaseless courting of attention. For older viewers who remember her heyday, from the 1950s through the 1970s, Zsa Zsa Gabor remains a living snapshot of a particular kind of Hollywood glitz. She appeared at a time when exotic European accents were still a novelty on American screens, when the golden age of cinema was transitioning to a new wave of television-based stardom, and when the lines between performance and personal life began to blur. She toyed with those boundaries as skillfully as any star of her era, presenting a curated version of herself, one part Hungarian countess, one part comedic bombshell, one part cunning businesswoman who understood the economy of publicity. For younger generations who might discover her through old talk show clips or references in pop culture, she can seem like an early influencer, a Kardashian before the Kardashians. She exemplified the art of turning private life into public drama, from her flamboyant divorces to her extravagant spending habits and cheeky remarks about gold digging. Yet, unlike many modern influencers, she'd lived through genuine historical trauma, wars, exiles, the diaspora of countless European Jews, and that gave her journey a gravity which might not be obvious from her punchy TV persona alone. When we piece all of these elements together, her upbringing in a time of political danger, her comedic approach to personal scandal, her capacity to attract both love and acrimony, and her final years battling serious health problems, it becomes clear that Zsa Zsa Gabor's life encompassed far more than a stack of divorces and some comedic tabloid stories. She blended old-world survival instincts with the glitzy illusions of Hollywood, forging a persona that entertained millions while shielding a more fragile core. She was aware of her contradictions, perhaps even relishing them. She could speak of heartbreak one moment and wittily proclaim she'd never hated a man enough to give his diamonds back the next. That duality might be what kept her relevant for so long. And so the story of Zsa Zsa Gabor stands as an intricate tapestry of style and substance, comedy and controversy, heartbreak and resilience. She never won an Oscar, nor did she helm a groundbreaking television show. Yet in a peculiar way, she shaped a form of public performance that has since become mainstream. Today's reality stars, viral influencers, and talk show regulars might be following a path that Zsa Zsa helped clear, turning one's personal life into an endless wellspring of content. Whether that's an achievement or a cautionary tale depends on one's perspective. And that's all for today's video. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, let us know your thoughts in the comments section, and subscribe so you won't miss out on future uploads. See you next time.